I've been playing Men of War Assault Squad 2 with RobZ a lot over the past few years, and that's while I've been waiting for Call to Arms Gates of Hell to come out and be good, and for this Men of War 2 to come out and be good. And so far, I'm pretty disappointed in Men of War 2. Gates of Hell still has some hope, but with Men of War 2 going into playtest recently and letting everyone see how it plays, it's really not that good. I'm going to be talking, this is my first match, I'm going to be just talking about what's going on here. So how this works is that you buy units in echelons, so there's three tiers and they're timered. So you start with the first one, then there's the second one after 5 minutes, and the third one after 15 minutes. Not sure what this is, but I've joked that you are basically railroaded into how you play this, and then it actually shows you a railway there, which is really funny. My camera's bugging out because I don't have my controls properly set up, just ignore that. But the way this works in this game is that you have only like four or I'm not sure how many, but you only have a handful of units. So here's what I'm talking about here. I'm about to get to it. I'm looking at all the controls and figuring out what I do. So this is the problem, first of all. You start off only being able to call in four different units. Right now I'm playing as the USSR with tank, regiment, or whatever it's called. So you pick a loadout. It's like a deck. This game is a lot like a deck building card game, essentially. You unlock units and you add them to your deck, and then you play them in the battle you pick from them. So when I'm playing as the USSR with tank doctrine, I only get to call in either rifleman, basic infantry, an airstrike, which is just click and drop, a T-70 light tank, or a BT-7 light tank. So these are basically identical tanks, almost identical tanks. Functionally in the game, they're almost identical. And that's all I can do. I'm not going to get rifleman. Probably will not do that. And I pick between one of these two tanks. So you're basically... You only get to bring in a tank. That's the only choice you've got when you first start out. So for the first 5 minutes or something, all you get is a tank. Yeah, and the squads only have 5 guys. And I'm just looking right now at the airstrike icon. It's really confusing. It took me a couple of matches to actually figure out what the hell I'm looking at. As you can see, the scale is really low. You only have a few guys running around. I think it might even be a lower scale than Company Heroes. It's really bad. Compare this with Men of War Assault Squad 2, where a squad of conscripts or riflemen would have 10 or 12 guys. You have occasional tanks going around. You have almost no infantry. Their shots are really tinny sounding. I don't like the sound effects of small arms. Also, when they hit buildings, it sounds pretty weird. When they hit fences, buildings, it sounds strange. And the way the tanks move around as well is not that great. Instead of reversing out of fights, keeping their armour facing to the front, they will just do a 180 and zoom away. It's actually hard to get them to reverse out of fights like you would want to do in Men of War Assault Squad 2, especially RobZ, where armour is really important, and where units are slow. Tanks are slow, as you would expect. Not in this game, they all move really fast, they just turn on a dime, like they just spin around and zoom out. They zoom in and it fights, zoom out of fights, it's really bad. Even heavy tanks like Tigers do that. It's really... it just feels arcadey, that's the word. I made a video for my second channel and I described it as just being super arcadey, and people say things like mobile game. It doesn't feel like a step up from Men of War Assault Squad 2, which is what a lot of people had been hoping for. It feels like Gates of Hell, which is already sort of concerning with how arcadey it feels. Because of course, Men of War is supposed to be a real-time tactics that's a bit more engaging and has more depth than Company Heroes. Just for a start, when you bring up the inventory of these tanks, you'll see exactly how many shells they've got, of each kind as well. You don't have infinite ammo, you don't usually have health bars, but in this game you have health bars. So in Men of War Assault Squad 2, tanks have components, they have engines, they have left-right track, they have horizontal drive turret, vertical drive, they've got breach. So there's a lot more going on, there's a lot more variables. You can fire Willy P at a tank's engine or throw Molotovs at the tank's engine and it might burn out. You have a lot of choices, there's a lot of ways that you can approach stuff. There's even variations in armour on places on the front of the tank, like the Tiger, I'm quite sure, has a a viewport that you can aim for and try and penetrate the front of the tank with that. It's like a weak spot. So that's what the game's like. It has a lot of detail, and it has even more when you download the RobZ mod and play with that. But look at that, I'm trying to reverse this tank and it's not happening. It insisted on turning around there. I tried to click behind it to make it reverse and it wouldn't do it. And now I've been tracked and I'm facing the wrong way and I'm tracked. See that? See how bad the micro is? It's really bad. In order to reverse out the fight, I would have had to have direct controlled and held down backwards to manually reverse out the fight. You can't click behind, hold down shift, click behind again, hold down shift, click behind again, and just sort of make a waypoint out of the fight. You have to actually manually reverse. It's really bad. And I fixed the track there in about 5 seconds. That's how arcadey this is. So it isn't even a real crippling to be tracked, because you can just repair it in seconds, unlike in Men of Warsaw Squad 2, especially RobZ. It's just really silly. And I've unlocked echelon 2, and let's take a look at this. There we go. So I've got 5 options, but it's really just 3 options here. So there's an IS, an IL2, a T-34-76, and a KV-85. So once again, you've got 2 tanks that are quite similar. This one's better armoured and has a better gun. This is like a lighter version. Heavier, lighter. So you don't really get any more choice. You're just stepping up while your opponent is also stepping up. You start out with light tanks, and then you get heavier tanks, and that's what happens when you play as tank doctrine or regiment, whatever this is. So the way this plays is really limited. Like, it's really constrained. When you're playing a real-time tactics game, especially a Men of War game, even a Company Heroes game or a Sudden Strike game or any of these real-time tactics or real-time strategy games, any of these games, you usually have a variety of units. You have access to a wide roster, all the tools, and you can then try and read the battlefield, read the situation, and decide which tool is best and which one you have an idea for that you can use to prevail. But you can't do that when you're playing this and you have these weird doctrine systems. It's really bad. I really have a big problem with this system. And also the way the airstrikes work. I should skip forward to the next fight. Let's see if there's anything that happens in this one, and I'll try and... There's indirect fire. That's something that's good. That's a quite long range indirect fire that I just managed. I'm quite far away. So this is something that the game does well. You should always be able to indirect fire. So I just aimed at the ground. I'm trying to figure out how the controls work here when I'm doing this, because I've got the idea of just... I think that must be like 250 or 300 meters or something. No, it's not. It's not as much as I thought. Someone else has got the same idea. So that is an AT gun, an 85mm I think, and I took it out with indirect. So that worked, and that works quite well. Indirect fire works well. It's just the blast is not very substantial, and the reload time is not as punishing as it could be. It's not bad, the reload time, but it's not great. And then there's a Su-122 here. And this is another thing. I am playing as Soviets right now. I've got USSR tank doctrine, and someone else is playing as USSR as well on the other team. So it's just a bit of a jumbled mess, these matches. You're not playing Wehrmacht against USSR. You're not playing Americans against Japanese. You're not playing, one faction against another. It's all just mixed. It's just a mess. It's mix and match of all of the different factions and all of the different things that they do. It's just a mess, really. Like, in this game, you can have Nazi tanks alongside American tanks fighting against Russians, and that's just typical. People just pick whatever they feel like. Alright, let's fast forward. I'm using a T-34 to fire this building, and the explosions are not that great. It doesn't look that good. Like, I just hit the side of that building. Listen to it. It's just really arcadey. It's not what I was expecting from Men of War. And it makes sense when you think about the fact that they apparently copied a lot of this stuff from something called Soldier's Arena, which was an attempt to pay-to-win formula Men of War. When I heard of Soldier's Arena and the microtransactions, I immediately thought of Total War Arena. It's remarkable how similarly they're named in addition to the small scope, because if you remember in Total War Arena, you would have only like, what, 3 or 4 or 5 units for the whole battle, and everyone else on your team would have the same amount of units, and then you would just try and micro each other down. Alright, let's see if I can get the last echelon of tanks. Let's try and get the last... Wait a minute, hang on. So I've got no units on the field at the moment. I have literally no units. I've bought a T-70. Let's see if I get something else. Nah, I think we're pushed back into our spawn. This was our first match and we didn't know what the hell we were doing. Am I going to get a decent tank? Like, see that? I accidentally aim in front because I'm going off the HUD aspect, the HUD element that it shows. Like, see here? I thought that this was the pattern, this is where it lands, but it's actually right on your mouse. It lands there, right where my mouse is. So I've aimed away from it. So that's really confusing. Alright, there is the last echelon. So we've got a Su-100, that's a tank destroyer. We've got a T-34-85, that's an upgunned T-34. And we've got an IS-2, which is the heavy tank of the Soviets of World War II. That's the one that went into Berlin. So it's just going up into heavier and heavier tanks, and you've also got the, of course, the heaviest tank destroyer, arguably, like a really high-powered gun, high-velocity, quite large caliber gun, like really good penetration values. So you're just, as the echelons unlock, you just get bigger, badder units, while your enemy gets bigger, badder units. It's not really like you're getting more tools. It's all just tanks that get bigger. That's all it is. So it's not a good system, because all you have here is bigger and bigger tanks. That's the only tool you've got. Everything's a nail when all you have is a hammer, basically, and that's all you've got. You've just got... This is the analogy I've used. It's like you've got a set of hammers instead of a utility belt, and that's how this game plays in a nutshell. Let's see if I can get a sound of impact here. It sounds like a really low caliber shot. Listen. See, it sounds really low caliber. And I just hit that with a Su-100. Listen. I didn't even hear anything there, really. I fired a Su-100, which is a really powerful gun, right at the side of an ISU-152. Not only did it not kill it, look at the penetration it gives me. I've only got 105 mils of penetration, and it has 98 mils of armor at that point. 55% chance of penetrating. This is really bad. 122 meters, I'm really close to it. It's really unsatisfying. And look how fast my Su-100 moves as well. Look how responsive it is, look how quickly it turns. Look at that, it just jitters its way as it turns. And I dodged a bombing run, and even the bombing runs don't look that great. Man, there's not a lot that you can say that's good about this. It's like Company Heroes, it really is, it sucks. Look at this, look how close he's getting, look at how the fog of war is really narrow as well. That's another thing, it's really bad. I'm desperately trying to get that to reverse, to back off so I can line up a shot, and it just doesn't happen. Let's look at that again. Look, I'm clicking behind. Alright, I'm aiming forwards. I want to get a shot on that. I'm trying to reverse to pull out to line up a shot, and it's just doing this stupid turning. It's really annoying. I didn't yet have my keybind set up to direct control properly, but we'll get some of that. It's really frustrating. Look at the gun just started sniffing out the target. See how quickly the gun just starts sniffing around? It's all super sped up and arcadey. Look at that, it's just sniffing out targets like that, and then the shot itself has really low velocity. It just looks real arcadey as well. And Minowar without mods does look super arcadey, but it's never really looked as bad as this to me. It's like Company Heroes here, and that's what it seems like they're trying to do, just capture the Company Heroes market share, basically. I don't like it. Men of War should have went further in the direction of Men of War Assault Squad 2, and especially mods like RobZ that are more about realism and making the most of the engine and what it's capable of. Like, they're really sleeping on their engine here with making games like this. You don't really get that many satisfying detonations, or like you always penetrate, but you never really score that many outright kills. Let's see, look how long this takes to come in as well. I figured out by now that the bombing run has to be right on the target. Let's see if this gets through, because these get shot down really easily. It's like a super hard rock, paper, scissors counter system they've got. Look how quick that was, and it's just gone now. Only took a couple of clicks, and that was a really heavy artillery piece. And now there's a BR, is that B4M? Yeah. Let's see if I can land that on it. Nah, I don't think I did. Alright, let's fast forward to the next one maybe. This is another thing, the penetration through buildings is really punishing. Buildings are really good cover, it's hard to get a shot through a building. Like, see this shot? This should just go right through these walls. That's what it should be like. I'm using our Pearson. Switched to high explosive. Yeah, the blast is not that convincing. Engine damaged, track hit. Alright, let's see how quickly I accelerate out there. Alright, so I'm airstriking this again. Turret's aiming way up. Nah, I don't think I... Oh, I'm trying to indirect fire that artillery piece now. Oh, so you see these lights that show you where stuff is in the fog of war? It tells you where they are. And something killed me, I think. So let's see what that is. A bombing run? Nah, B4 directly hit me and killed me. I'm gonna now show you the regiment system. So, the entire time I've played so far, I've played as USSR with their tank regiment. So, it's the same for every faction. It seems like they have an artillery, an infantry, a tank, artillery, infantry, tank. And then there's assorted miscellaneous stuff down here, sort of like Company Heroes tried to do, I think. I never really played Company Heroes, but I'm aware of what they did. Engineer Battalion, Anti-Tank Artillery Regiment, Air Defence, Howitzer, Self-Propelled, Recon Brigade. Yeah, this seems really like Company Heroes. Alright, so let's take a look at the one I'm familiar with most. Tank Regiment of the Soviets. So what you've got here is infantry, airstrike, and 2 light tanks. And I've only got 4 units that fit into this. And this is all I can pick for. This is my entire pool of units. Echelon 2 is 2 medium tanks. This is sort of a heavy tank, and an airstrike, and some chaff infantry. And then more chaff infantry, tank destroyer, upgun T-34, and a IS-2, the heavy tank. So if I want to fix this, first thing to do is to get rid of this BT-7, but I can only replace it with what you see here. So I would have to pick from another tank. I can't even introduce these mortars and machine gun emplacements here. A mortar, a field gun. You have to bring tanks in these slots. This slot has to be one of these. Could try bringing a T-40 amphibious light tank. So I might try doing that. I could do this. Okay, so I'm gonna reduce this down. I'm gonna bring it. Where's the? Does this have the 20mm rock cannon, or I'm gonna do this? And then for this one, so I've got a smaller gun, 20mm, and then for this one I'm going to have, this is a medium tank? Alright, a medium tank. There we go. So I've now managed to achieve a light AA gun, 20mm, and a medium tank. So I've fixed this, kind of fixed this, but I've still just got shitty infantry. I would want to bring a mortar and machine gun, but I can't really. I've got to stick with infantry so they can spot. And then over here, if I want, I can get rid of their strike. And I might do that. And I can bring sappers perhaps. So there we go, I can now do some engineer stuff. Alright, let's increase the number of tanks we have then. Alright, so I'll have 3 light tanks. But it still just feels off, it feels off balance. There's something wrong with this. I can't really get this going. Sappers and riflemen, light tank and medium tank, gotta just leave it at that. And assume that being under by this is not an issue. Wait, I could try doing this. Could do this. Yeah, there we go, that fixes that bit. See how constrained you are, this echelon system? And then down here... I'm not liking this system, it's not motivating me, I don't feel motivated by this, because I don't have any mortars, I don't have any machine guns. I could try forcing them into this, but... there's so many sacrifices you have to make, and I'm not even in the match yet. And then down here we get some half-tracks, a light scout vehicle. Well, I've already got riflemen, so I could try doing this then. There we go, I've already got riflemen. And then I could get rid of this lighter tank that I've already got a medium tank here, so I could try doing this. I could try getting a KV2 now. There we go, I've got a support tank. Still just tanks though, look at all this stuff that I've got to unlock with currency. Oh, you've got to unlock all this with in-game currency, which they might eventually turn into microtransactions. And then on airstrike, I can replace PM41, heavy mortar, there we go, but now I've gotten rid of all my airstrikes. And then tank crews. I've already got sappers, so I don't need engineers, do I? Unless there's something that sappers can do that engineers can't, and vice versa. I feel really railroaded, really constrained. Alright, I've got 3 mortars, that might help. That's a 120mm mortar. I've got a support tank, and I've got a sort of heavy tank. Gotta just leave it at that. Don't know. There we go, 10 tank crews for whatever reason. And then more infantry, tank destroyer. I could get rid of some of these and replace it with something. No, I can't, can I? Heavy infantry squad, alright, try that. There we go, so I've got infantry now, kinda. So all I've managed is a mortar and some heavy infantry. And I've got my tank crews covered there in case I need them. Heavy tank, tank destroyer. So I've sort of fixed this, but it still is so completely off balanced. I did my best here to try and get some differentiation achieved in this roster, but I think you're always going to struggle with this when this game runs like this, and I think this is just sort of like a shunning of RTT fundamentals. It's a weird experimental kind of game, just like Total War Arena, just like Soldiers Arena, but it's not good. Alright, let's get into the match. Look how close this combat is. I can't shoot through these buildings. And look at this infantry fighting here. It looks like Company Heroes. Your camera's really close for a start. Bullets are really slow. All the projectiles are really slow. And that is a Panzer III getting penetrated by a 45mm there. I nearly won that fight, which was silly. So I'm getting another T-70 here. Alright, I'm airstriking. And this may actually work. Yeah, look at that, I just did an airstrike on a Panzer III and it's gone. It's really... don't like it. I did almost nothing there to kill that. And look at that, I think the wall just saved me there. And now I've got another T-70 coming in. Oh man, we penetrated each other there. And yeah, that's another thing. See, when you try and zoom in, I'm using direct control now. It goes into this weird first person, almost third person view, and it can really mess you up. And I just got killed there. Alright, there's another bombing run that I'm doing. So I'm using the quick strafe, and then I'm using the actual bombing. And that thing didn't get killed, and now I've got the bombing coming in. And that worked. See that? You just click and it dies. And now I'm bringing in a KV-85. Look how close I am. And that was an explosive shell that I'm firing there. I don't think I even realised this. I might shoot again once and then switch. Yeah, look at that. And that didn't kill any of my guys here. That should have killed my guys. So it's like there's no friendly fire when you see that. I've now switched to armor piercing, and I've killed it. And they're garrisoning this building. And there's a system for that to fortify buildings, which might be good, but it seems really arcadey. It's like it's a button thing. Fortifying a building should surely be about finding good positions in the building, and then putting your infantry there and matching up the infantry you have in the building with the threats that are outside the building on that side. But I doubt it works like that. I haven't really experimented with that. If they're adding systems for it though, then it's a good thing, but I don't think they're going for that. I think they're going for a company heroes thing. Look, you have this shield above the building to imply that it's a fortified position. There's all these weird icons a lot. And then see when you go over to the right of the screen, you have this overlay that pops up and it just gets in the way. And I just dodged the bomb. And I should have ran over that guy there, but he didn't get ran over. I don't think it gave me a team kill there. That's a flamethrower guy that I just drove into and he didn't die. So the game is really forgiving. Also, look at this, I can't even drive over this ruin, so it's not like it can even be totally destroyed. And that was a weird explosion there. The concussive effects are not processed like they are in Men of War Assault Squad 2. In that game, blasts are really impactful, but it's at a cost of having it proliferate outwards sort of slowly, so the game can actually process all the physics involved. But in this game, it just seems like it's slow no matter what. Everything is just slow in this. Bullets are slow, blasts are slow, explosions are slow, blast waves are slow, vehicles are fast. And then look at that. This thing is killing my bomber. And then it crashes. Look at that. See how hard counter it is? It really is rock, paper, scissors. A Flak 36 just killed my plane so effortlessly that was trying to bomb that tiger. So there's A that just effortlessly kills planes. Planes effortlessly kill vehicles. Vehicles effortlessly kill A, presumably. So yeah, it's really... it feels really flat and oversimplified, gotta be honest. It's not satisfying to use this. I like though that you can presumably dig trenches and fortify positions and have trenches get deepened by dig them more, which I haven't done yet. I like that you apparently have that option now, and that's what I was hoping they would do more of, allowing you to make more different kinds of fortifications. Reinforcing is good. Like being able to put down sandbags, tank traps, small foxholes, big foxholes, trenches, all this stuff. This is all cool, and then if you can combine it with different units in different ways. But as you've seen, the amount of tools that you have at your disposal in any given moment is really low, and it's one of the worst things about this game that would just make it sort of not viable for me. Like, see if I was to show you right now how many units you get in a match in Men of War Assault Squad 2 from 2014, it would blow your mind, especially when you're playing RobZ. You have like 30 or 40 different kinds of infantry just for a start, and the amount of vehicles you have are probably the same again, 30 or 40 or maybe even 60 different vehicles. There's loads. and they all have their own uses, they're all different. And then you come to this and it's like, alright, you have four units, and then another 4 units come along that just replace the old 4 units, and all the units there more or less do the same thing anyway because they're all tanks. Where's the mortars, machine guns, rockets, AT rifles, RPGs, flaks? You only get a few units and you have to actually pick them in advance. It's really limited, really limited. I missed there. And I think he gets the better of me here. And look at that, there's the hit points. I'm going to rewind that and show you again. 59%, because it's out of 100. 16, so it did 43% damage. Look at that. Oh, I got a good hit on him actually, yeah. But that's really bad. You have hit points in a Men of War game. That's really bad. It's really bad. And the UI does feel kind of cluttered. Like, I only just realised now that the crew is represented here. So you have the driver, gunner, reloader, and I don't know what he is. Machine gunner maybe, but that should be a gunner symbol as well. That's the tank commander maybe. Tank commander, driver, gunner, loader. Yeah, that's what that is. And then you've got armor piercing, high explosive, and special armor piercing. So that's like an APCR. And then you've got your main gun, second coaxial, that's what that is, and then hull gun. And they're on your screen up here. Usually you would click a drop down menu to select between the ammo types and the weapons. So I don't really like how the layout is compared to how it used to be either. Maybe new players like it, but I don't like it. Fills up your screen with a lot of stuff. And look, I've only got 5 units. This is probably having a lot of units. I've got a tank crew, a tank crew, a tank crew, and then I've got 3 tanks, a medium and 2 light tanks. And I've called in an airstrike. So I've got 6 things at the moment. 6 things, and that's comparatively a lot. So it's like a really low scale. This is why people say mobile game, because it is like a mobile game. It's like a super low scale Men of War. Like, I never thought Men of War would do this and have such a low scale game going on, but yeah, apparently it does. Even the planes move around really slowly, look at them. I'm currently dueling a Tiger with a T-34. I think I'd get a good hit on one of these and penetrate it with special armor piercing, which I don't know if I should be able to do, but I think I did it at one point. And then I buy a Su-100 here thinking it's actually good, forgetting what happened that last match. Yeah, it's disappointing. Alright, so I've got 105mm of penetration capability against 102mm, which gives me a 52% chance of penetrating, because of course this is assuming a 50% chance. So when it says the armor piercing capability of a tank gun against rolled homogeneous armor, RHA, it gives you a figure like penetration is 100mm at 2km, and what that means is that half the time it will be able to penetrate that 100mm at 2km. So right now it says I've got 105mm of penetration. The actual armour that I'm targeting is 102. That gives me a 52% chance of penetrating because I'm slightly above the 50% estimate, and that is telling me the distance it's at, 205 meters. So it's probably going to penetrate it if I shoot. But I missed, it just went right past it. See that? This is meant to be an accurate gun. I'm only at 200 meters, come on. So there's a lot of spread in this. And look at that, it's arcing down as well, it looks like. And then it turns around. Yeah, it presents its side armour and drives away, and I don't manage to get anything on it. I don't know why it shows high explosive shells as being this big incandescent red trail, because it's a cold projectile that does everything when it hits. It's really kind of arcadey as well. Like see in RobZ, which I play all the time, you can sort of see the high explosive shells of something like a Brumbar in the air. It's just a shell. It's just a explosive filler shell that gets fired at the target and then detonates. And that just bounced off a tiger. It's really bad. And I've got 2 in 1 lined up here, but I don't get a 2 in 1. Alright, I've almost reloaded. Pierced the hull, didn't kill anyone, didn't do anything. Which is really annoying. Reduced its hit points, that's what happened there. So it did work. What it did was it reduced its hit points. Hit point fucking system. Oh, it's garbage. Now I've reduced its hit points again, a second shot. It should have just one-shot it. Or at least really messed it up. But nah, reduced the hit points. And I take the easy shot there on that. Killed a tank crew. Look at that. I just got hit by that and it reduced my hit points from 35 to 12. Look at this. I've already hit this guy really badly. Look at that, 35 to 12 hit points. So arcadey. What is this? He even fired on the move, full speed. Is he gonna kill me now? Look at it jittering around. Yeah, I'm dead. I died. So I arrived here, got a really good penetrating shot on a tiger that should have done the job. So I should have been able to pull out and find another angle, like shoot and scoot, relocate. But instead I was stuck in a shit situation and died. Really unsatisfying. And then I've got an IS-2 here. Dishka, 12.7mm. DT29. DT29, DT29. It's a lot of these. So this one is on top, on the pintle mount. This is coaxial, this is hull, and this is something else. 2 hull DT29s maybe. And what happened here? Oh yeah, I accidentally told them to get out because of a bind that I didn't properly fix. And I'm trying here for a 240m indirect. And I missed. Fast forwarding. He's going for an RPG shot. RPGs are really arcadey as well. I haven't used one yet, but I've seen other people doing it. It's only got a range of about 30 meters, so you can't really go for really nice, skillful shots. You have to just run right up to the target and take it almost point blank. It's really bad. And everything has really bad line of sight. The fog of war is really pervasive, and this is what I'm talking about here. When I said earlier about the inventory system. So let's wait for it. Yep, so you've got repair kit, a barrel for fuel maybe, and then you've got 2 different types of ammunition. So this is for the Dishka, this is for the DT29s, then you've got your armor piercing round, and then high explosive round. Man, even the icons for the shells looks a bit cartoony. And you can take that DT29 out, I think. You can remove this and carry it around as infantry. Well, let's see if I get a good shot here. Let's see. Oh, Morser. Alright. Completely missed. Yeah, so that's one of the really heavy guns. I think I might have had a really good hit on this and it might have not done anything. I'm going to fast forward and wait for it to see. And of course the lights are indicating where it is. It's cheating for me. And nah, I didn't get it. Everything just missed. And that missed as well. And that missed. I should have been able to fire and force that shot through. And look, he's just using the building as a shield. I should be able to just rake right through those walls and kill that thing. I think I try it here. Hopefully I try it. Does this work? Nah, it doesn't work. Look at that, the wall stops it. That's really bad. Physics and penetration and all that is just fucked in this. That should have worked. And that all missed, I think. Yeah, people have been describing this game as a deck builder MOBA mobile game, and it's easy to see why, I think. This is not the progression from Men of War Assault Squad 2 that a lot of people wanted, including me. Like, I don't think you could mod this to make it into a good RobZ mod like you could with Men of War Assault Squad 2. And it's funny because the actual maker of the RobZ mod for Men of War Assault Squad 2 was asked about this. Someone joked to him and said, please save this or something. And then he responded along the lines of saying he would have to rewrite the entire game to save this. And also he said that he was asked by the developers of this game to make a RobZ mod for this, and he didn't even respond to them. So it's kind of clear what he thinks about this. And he's currently working on the Gates of Hell game at the moment, which is, after this came out in this condition, that's the best hope we have of a sort of modern, forward-looking Men of War experience, because that could be a good mod platform that makes possibility for modders that we can all experience as gamers, like we have with Men of War Assault Squad 2 mods like RobZ, and there's a few other ones like Valor, I think. There's a lot of really ambitious mods that have been made on Men of War Assault Squad 2. There's even a Warhammer mod. Like, there's a lot you can do with that engine, the gem engine. It simulates a lot of physics and projectiles really well. You have massive battlefields with hundreds of tanks potentially, thousands of infantry almost. And they all have their own equipment. They use ammo that they carry on them that has weight. They have different levels of skill. They have specialties. They have to use bandages to heal themselves. If their helmet gets shot, it falls off, and then they have no helmet. Helmets can ricochet bullets, keep them alive. Even Soviet shock troops come into the battle wearing early armour, body armour. Like, there's so much that goes on. There's all these different kinds of grenades as well. Like the German ones, the steel hand granata has longer range. Like the amount of possibility that exists with making these games to simulate this stuff, it's immense. And then they try and do this. It's kind of disappointing. I'm having some success here with IS-2 in this one. It looks like I've kept it alive. Still at 100 hit points. Used all of my armor piercing shells. Only got 6 high explosive left. Let's see if I get this. I'm trying to spray down the crew at the moment, it looks like. And I'm trying to switch to the right weapon at the moment. Yeah, main gun destroyed, but I don't think that does anything. It didn't credit me with the kill. 6 shells again? Has that gone up? That's another thing, you can't even buy an ammo truck. Like, I can't get ammo for myself, and there I blew up. What is this though? Look, I've got shells again. Look, I've got 15 armor piercing, 5 explosive. Why's that happened? Is that because I captured a point? Capture point D and it gives me the ammo again? What's going on there? It's so bizarre. And then there's a Jagdpanther right there. 100 hit points, let's see what happens. I can't remember what happens in this fight. It missed. Jagdpanzer, Pack 43. I like that though. It shows you the name of the thing that's shooting you from that angle. It's interesting. Pack 43 again. And it's red because it penetrated me and I've got 60% health left. It's oh, I hate that hit point system so much. Hull impact damage, still 60% hit points. And it says turret destroyed there, but is my turret destroyed? I think I'm in trouble now. I'm trying to hide behind this building. Because I've seen other people do this to me and it works. And we're winning now. And then I think I tried to repair this. So there's the repair thing down there. I'm looking for it on the HUD, I don't know where it is. And there's a move backward button I just noticed. Look at that, what's it doing? What is it doing? And now I'm direct controlling to reverse it. And I'm trying to figure out the repair. I think I retreated to reserve there. And I think this is a good way to showcase something that this has as a problem. It's really bad what you're going to see in a minute. I think. Hang on, I'm going to find it. Look at that. Not enough CP to capture. This is my tank. It's mine. I got out to repair it and now it says not enough CP to capture. What capture? It's mine. See that? There's so much about this that doesn't make sense. A tank should be a piece of equipment. It shouldn't be something that you have to capture. What the hell? This is all wrong. Like, they're just thinking about this completely wrong. This is really bad. See, if you capture a tank, that should be yours. You should be able to just get in a tank with any infantry that can drive a tank and just drive that thing out of there and it's yours now, and then you can sort of do your best to repair it and prepare it for fighting and then deploy it against its old masters. But in this case, you've got that. Not enough CP to capture. What the fuck? Such a crap system. What are they thinking? I just don't know what they're thinking, man. And that didn't kill it. That was a really good strafe that hit it multiple times but didn't kill it. Look how quickly that just zoomed away there. Watch this. I'm gonna watch that again. Look at that. It's so arcadey. Oh my god, it doesn't even have to accelerate and then engage the right tread to turn left. Yeah, we won that time. Yeah, so I could maybe go forward to the next one, see if there's anything else to observe. Let's see if I look at the echelon system. Let's see if I select the regiment thing. Also, see look at these icons. Does this remind you of console? This reminds me of console. Yeah, so I'm just going to leave it there. I showed this on my second channel, these two matches, but everything I've just went over is a showcase of my first two matches. So that's all my matches on YouTube now. So go to my second channel for this match and the next one if you want to actually watch a couple of matches where I've learned the controls. The video is titled Men of War 2 is super arcadey and sucky. But that sums up my thoughts here. Highly recommend you try Men of War Assault Squad 2 and the RobZ mod. I've covered that on this channel before a few times, like showing how it plays. But I'll leave a example video in the description as well of a video from my second channel. A full match that is... I'll probably make it a really competitive one that shows what the game's like when you have two teams that are playing against each other and playing well. And then you can watch that and compare that to this. And that'll be Men of War Assault Squad 2 RobZ. And then you can compare that to what you just saw here with Men of War 2. And as I said, the other Men of War 2 video on my second channel. But yeah, that's it. Disappointed in Men of War 2, what I've seen so far. Have no hopes for this. Also, I should mention that there's a bit of a problem with how they've handled the reception to this, because a lot of people are unhappy with this. And I was in the official Discord and they banned my friend from it because he was being a bit sarcastic and leaving feedback that was sort of just slating the game, which a lot of people were. So if they've banned my friend, who wasn't even being that outspoken, then I presume they're quite gung-ho with the banning. They have an itchy trigger finger. I've also seen people say stuff like that on Steam threads, that they are quite bad at handling negative feedback. Yeah, it's a bit disappointing. And I think there's like 2 or 3 different teams that are developing these Men of War games. So there's a Gates of Hell modder that's developing that. And there's a different one developing this. So they have a few projects going at any one time. Also, something else I should put in the description is a video of Soldiers Arena to show you what I think they've just basically copy-pasted from. So that was, as I said, a pay-to-win version of Men of War that got cancelled, just like Total War Arena got cancelled. Soldiers Arena cancelled, Total War Arena cancelled both pay-to-win attempts at RTT kind of games. Look at that. I tried to reverse again and failed. See that? It keeps happening to me. It's a bad system. Yeah, but I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Thanks to all my patrons for their ongoing support of the channel. I try to reward patrons with perks, including updates on what I am thinking, what I'm doing, and what I am planning. Special thanks to Matteo Olivetti.